Everyone. Welcome to the Unqualified Film Bros podcast. Remember how we ended last week by saying we had a surprise for you this week? Well, by virtue of Transformers Rise of the Beasts and my incredible 1 point victory in Funky Films, we're talking about my favorite, not my favorite movie of all time because we did Princess Bride 2 summers ago. But we are doing another one of my favorite movies. We're talking about Knives Out. Talked about Glass Onion about a year and a half ago. Now we're going back to the first film in the Benoit Blanc mystery series from Rian Johnson. I'm just going to kick us off by saying I love this movie. I love murder mysteries. I'm trying to write one right now. It's been a couple of years going with that. Uh, Everything about this movie, from the stellar cast to the brilliant writing and direction of Rian Johnson to the intricacies of the plot and the layers and how everything that he sets up pays off in one way or another. It's a brilliantly constructed film, and then it's just a hell of a lot of fun to watch. So with that being said, boys, thoughts?
Yeah, no, I mean, I saw this one a long time ago. I think I haven't really rewatched it since, I don't know, a few years ago, 2 years ago. But yeah, I mean, it still holds up. It's a really solid mystery. I think all the characters are very memorable. I love all the performances, and I love that it's I mean, he really took from the original like Murder on the Orient Express because it had so many big names. Um, and you really didn't know who it was going to be. Everybody had a viable reason for wanting this person dead. Um, and the mystery is just it's fantastic, and the way that it's shot too is really nice. Um, it kind of reminds me of a lot of like 70s, 80s mystery stuff. Just like the open shots of like the house and everything. Um, I think it's a great movie. I really do.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I think I saw this maybe a year ago, last time I rewatched it. And I think this was Ana de Armas, this was like her breakout role basically.
Yeah.
And it kind of launched her on a new trajectory. But I mean, I think it also was the inception for Ghosted, which we don't need to talk about
We
tonight.
don't need to talk about
Um,
Ghosted. Let's
Every
talk
time I
about that movie again.
Every time I see this movie, though, or just think about it, I think about Jamie Lee Curtis saying, "Yeah, I was really, bad when I first talked to Ana de Armas. I thought that she had just come off the ship from Cuba."
Amy Lee, no.
I was like, Jamie, no. But she's it's whatever. I think they get
Her
along
character
fine
certainly
now.
behaves like it.
Her character's great. I mean, all the characters are despicable in one way. I feel like that's kind of what makes the film really work well, is that you could see anybody having a murder, killing someone or organizing the murder, except for maybe Meg and Fran. But everyone
I don't
else,
know. Yeah, I think
you could maybe see it. But yeah. Oh, and the kid. I don't know what the kid's name is. The Walt's kid.
the
oh,
neo-Nazi.
Jaden Martell plays him.
Yeah.
I've seen this
Creepy
movie
dude.
so many times. What's the
I
character's
don't.
name?
Maybe they don't even say the name. They may not
Jacob.
even say
It's Jacob.
Jacob. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that
think
kid's creepy, but not a murderer.
one of the things that really makes this
Not
movie
yet.
and Glass Onion, to be perfectly frank, stand out in the genre is that, you compare it with, and we did a review, God, more than 2 years ago now, of Death on the Nile, and I think that was the last murder mystery that we did. But with that movie, a lot of the characters, and maybe that's on Christie, but it's probably on Kenneth Branagh and the performances that we got in that movie. You don't feel like every single one of the characters is a suspect. A lot of
They
them just feel like filler to
they
make the
just
ensemble.
Hold on, back up. Did you just say maybe it's Christie? I can assure you, it is not Agatha Christie,
Okay,
the
it's not
greatest
it's not Agatha
mystery
it's not Agatha Christie.
novelist
Okay,
of all
excuse
time.
me. Excuse me. Withdrawn, stricken from the record.
Kenneth
Um,
Branagh is he's having a good old time. He just really loves being Hercule Poirot, which is a problem. It's kind of fun, but like
no, his
I think
Poirot
that's a
is
problem with him
great in
being
Murder on the Orient
director.
Express.
Yeah, but it's not as
Um,
good. Like I think Knives Out
anyway,
is a much better film.
but to my point about Death on the Nile compared with these two Benoit Blanc films, and it's on the cast and performances of Death on the Nile, is that in that film you don't feel like every single character could be the suspect, could be the murderer. A lot of them feel just like filler to fill out the ensemble.
Yeah, but
In
that's
this film
because
and Glass Onion, and I want to specify this film, any one of them, and I know it was the tagline of the movie, any one of them could have done it.
of Kenneth Branagh, and also because of the choice of casting. Uh, there were a lot of bad performances in that movie. I watched the third one too. What was it called? A Haunting in
Haunting in
Venice.
Venice.
Also, a much better than Death on the Nile because it didn't include Gal Gadot,
It was much better.
That'll make
but it
any
was
movie
still
better.
like it was kind of ridiculous. I like Michelle Yeoh in it. It's kind of fun in some areas. I think was Tina Fey in it too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
she was
but yeah,
actually it's fun.
I think Knives Out it is a much it's a well-crafted mystery. I mean, those are all great books, and there have been great adaptations, but Kenneth Branagh's are not them.
So when it comes to identifying the murderer here, and obviously in this film, there is no true murderer. I mean, there is Ransom
Well,
kills
there
Fran.
is.
Ransom kills Fran, and he tries to kill Harlan, but Harlan does kill himself. That's the official cause of his death. Um, but you get a great character like I want to talk about Walt, Michael Shannon, who he's kind of on the edge because he's dealing with his father firing him from the publishing company. He has the boot on and he walks with the limp and the cane. He's got the beard. He's a perfect red herring murderer. He's got that menacing scene in the hallway where he's
Yeah, especially because Michael Shannon he can always be a creepy dude, or he could just
yeah,
be good, or he could be anything. Like he's got that great acting style where he's gruff, but you never know who he actually is. He's an awesome actor. He's good in everything he's ever done. I swear to God.
Amsterdam.
We don't talk about that.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But if you guys want a great Michael Shannon performance, watch Boardwalk Empire. He's
Watch The
so
Flash. What?
stop. He didn't even like that movie. He's like, yeah, I came back for this. They paid me $20 million.
He got paid.
Yeah, he's like,
Capital
yeah,
P paid.
I don't really understand the film.
Sorry,
That's fine.
I don't think anyone except for maybe Michael Keaton understood that film.
David Zaslav understood.
We're
That's
not
why
going to
it
talk
made
about Zaslav.
it's why it lost like hundreds of millions of dollars. It's because he understood it.
Just give us Coyote versus
Anyway,
Acme, and that's all we care about. And Batgirl. So anyway, let's talk about Daniel Craig because he's someone that we've talked about a lot on the pod. I remember when we did our No Time to Die episode, we did our ranking of our favorite movies, and Knives Out was at the top of all of our lists.
was it really?
So I'm, I mean, I would have to go back and watch. We're talking,
I mean, it
130
was.
episodes ago.
Daniel
But
Craig has done a lot of good stuff, but I guess
there's
this is,
nothing I've ever seen him in that I've enjoyed him in more than this film.
yeah, that's fair.
The you could start and stop with the accent. Putting on that southern drawl is just
All right,
ridiculous and so
let's be
fun.
let's be very clear. This is a hyper ridiculous New Orleans accent, but it is really fun.
Yeah. And it sets him apart because anyone who's played James Bond will be known as James Bond for a lot of their career. He just sheds that entirely and becomes Blanc through the accent and the mannerisms and
All right,
the
but what about
styling.
Sean Connery? All right, think about this, man. He did the Scottish accent as James Bond, and then he did the Scottish accent as a Russian submarine captain, and then he did the Scottish accent as everything he's ever done. I mean, but but the bar is low, right?
Yeah, but for someone with,
But
you know,
yes, no, I
five
agree. I agree.
to
He
that
is a good
point,
actor. He was a good actor before James Bond. He was a good actor after. It still is a good actor. But yes, I agree. I had to make clear that James Bond actors are
no, and
not exactly the cream of the crop in acting.
Pierce Brosnan,
So
Roger Moore. I
Timothy
mean, these
Dalton,
guys.
I'll give Timothy Dalton his props. That dude is amazing.
But Daniel Craig, to the point of the first mystery film, as of Knives Out, he had done four Bond films. He would come back for a fifth before he would do Glass Onion. Um, he's just so goddamn talented that he hops into this role, essentially creating a brand new iconic detective that could rival Poirot. Building this character from scratch with Rian Johnson.
Well, can you like just back up, please?
I'm gonna
Well, I
say
mean,
shit, Ben. I'm gonna say it, and
maybe
it's gonna make
maybe
you
on
mad.
screen, but you have to
Yeah.
understand, like Agatha Christie's the prototype
Okay.
for every
Yes.
mystery. Like
Yes. On
Poirot has
screen.
so
We
many
are a movie
books.
podcast.
Yeah, but even still, there's a lot of Agatha Christie adaptations. You gotta pump the brakes a little bit. There's a
I'm
difference
sorry.
between the
I'm
character,
overhyping this movie because I love it so much. I
but
apologize.
what I was gonna say is there's a difference between the character and the actor. I think the character is well written, but I think the actor really brings it out. Um,
He elevates it.
yeah, but you can definitely see that it is a evolution in his own creative way of Poirot. I mean, instead of being a French detective, you're a New Orleans sort of uh, American detective because a lot of the stuff that he's been doing is American, and he is an American. So he does his own take on it. But I just want you to understand that Agatha Christie is where he draws a lot of this from. So it's hard to
Yeah, and
compare that.
the through lines are there. You can see where he takes inspiration, but he also makes the genre his own in a sense.
No, I'll agree with that. But he's got to do it for at least 20 more movies to rival Agatha Christie.
And you know what? I would be there opening night of all 20 movies because this one and Glass Onion are so goddamn fun.
I think Knives Out is a much better movie than Glass Onion. I think Glass Onion works on like some level. It's fun, but the mystery is like, especially after you watch it once, it's not anywhere near as like good as Knives Out
As a
because
plot,
the
no.
because the reveal is literally he's a dumbass, which is fun. It was a great line, but I mean, when we look at Knives Out, you can really see the plots like moving throughout the movie, and you really don't know who's. Everyone seems bad. In Glass Onion, you have a lot of people that are kind of seem too stupid to pull anything off, kind of seem too nice, and you kind of just whittle it down to like a few people, and then a few people die, and then a few people are too stupid, and then you realize, oh yeah, the guy that's been an asshole the whole movie. That's the guy.
Which
And
is
this
also
one,
the case in Knives Out if you boil it down to it. It's just the
yeah,
fact that Ransom isn't an idiot.
yeah, Ransom is not an idiot. His plan is actually kind of, rivals something his grandfather would come up with. I think everything ties together much more. Um, even like, lines like prop knives. He could never recognize a prop knife when he saw one. and obviously he grabs the knife and tries to kill Marta and fails because it's a prop knife. I don't know if all those are prop knives, but it was a nice callback to something, which is he's smart on some level, but he's also too confident, and so he's an idiot in some level. But there are a lot of things I can take. A lot of the characters just work on a lot. There's there are a lot more depth to them. You can see they're not stupid characters, they're just dependent on money. In Glass Onion, every
You're frozen.
oh,
Hey,
you're
we
back,
fixed it. I'm back.
sort of.
I'm glad that we didn't completely crash, and now we probably will. Um,
Keep going, keep going.
I'm gonna go. So, Ragnarok and Love and Thunder is an interesting comp. Um,
I mean, I don't hate Love and Thunder.
no,
I
I don't
enjoy
either.
it. It's just it's not as good on a lot of levels,
Sequels
and the
rarely
levels
are.
add
Yeah.
up. Yeah.
So,
Well, it is a sequel, but
yeah, I think with this film, the idea that all of these characters are so layered, have so much depth, and their relationships have so much depth individually and as a group. I think what we get from this ensemble and the performances across the board are tremendous. What we get is a level of complexity to the plot where even though we're focusing in on Blanc, Marta, and Ransom for pretty much the back half of the movie, it really remains about the whole family and what lengths they're willing to go to protect themselves and at the same time sort of keep to themselves, if that makes sense.
yeah, to a degree. I think it's also that they're family, and in Glass Onion, you
They're
have
not.
some people that have relations but are also just don't know each other really well. Families cannot hide a lot of stuff. And so you've got everyone. You got Nana like, oh, Ransom. You got a lot more things going on. You don't feel as isolated too. You're off on that island. It feels almost like a horror movie to a degree. Like I kept thinking of I Know What You Did Last Summer, two, three. I don't remember which one. They go to Jamaica. It's a terrible movie. Jack Black's in it. Go watch it.
Ben's tossing all kind
Um,
of wrecks in this episode.
yeah, he gets murdered with a bone. Entertaining.
Hey, let's talk about Chris Evans because
Yeah, I mean
we have our murderer here.
he's kind of cartoonish. I like him.
He's kind of cartoonish, but in the same way that we talked about how Daniel Craig plays someone completely different from his probably best known character.
But everyone really feels like a pulp comic, like an old detective comic. Like they're all kind of ridiculous in their own way,
But
which is what
grounded.
I really like about it.
They're ridiculous, but grounded in reality. There's some level of realism to these characters where
Well,
you feel
so
like
are
they could
pulp
all be real people.
comics. Yeah, I mean it's just
Right, but they're not fully,
eccentric people.
cartoonish caricatures of who people in murder mysteries are generally
No,
made to
I
be.
I guess that's well, I guess that's fair. I think everyone but Ransom. Ransom has his moments, but he is the most cartoonish just because first of all his name is Ransom. How could you be a normal person being born with that name?
To be
But
fair, it's his middle name.
yeah, he went by it, which means he's a psychopath.
No, it just means he's a douche.
Well, sometimes they're one and the same.
Well,
But
Yeah, I mean it's a good performance. It's
Chris
what
Evans has
everyone in
fucking
this cast
range.
does their job. Huh?
Chris Evans has fucking range.
I would not use this movie as an example, to be honest. He's been in a lot of stuff.
He has.
Go watch him in Sunshine. Have you seen him in Sunshine?
I have not.
then I don't want to hear it because Chris Evans keeps telling people to watch Sunshine. He's like, everyone keeps wanting to talk to me about all these roles. Watch Sunshine. All right, that's a direct quote from Chris Evans.
All right.
But yes, he's a good
Aye, aye,
actor.
Captain.
But go watch more of his stuff, okay? He's more than
Okay.
just the Knives Out murderer.
Yeah, he's also Captain America.
And the Iron. Wait, what's his name?
Human
Human
Torch.
Torch.
The Human Torch. I was like,
Yeah.
the Iron
Are
Torch.
you going
That's
for
not right.
Iron Fist? He's
I
not Iron
They
mixed up
Man.
cast,
so.
they already
There
cast
were
like
so
what,
many
5 Iron
superheroes in
Fists?
my head.
Hey, what's your favorite scene in this movie?
Favorite scene. I enjoy the grandfather telling her how to get away with it, where it cuts to how she gets away with it. The calmness of Christopher Plummer. Christopher Plummer is talking, which makes it the scene so much better. But I really enjoyed him like employing his prowess as a mystery writer to understand like this is how you'll get away with it. Um, it kind of reminded me every time I see him in this movie, he reminds me of whatever his name is, Grandfather Gates in National Treasure.
Oh yeah,
It's just like he loves telling stories. He loves being that zany old grandfather. Um,
that
but yeah,
one scene in National Treasure. My God.
I really do love I love that scene. I feel like and
Next
they
time I
also
win, we'll
keep
talk about
calling
National
back to
Treasure.
it, you know. But they also keep calling back to it because it's a pivotal scene in the mystery. But I just love
Yeah.
the original like showing of it, the cuts of it. I think it's nice.
I think what I love so much about that scene, the first time they're going through it and he's explaining, the whole process of how they're gonna make this work, is the way that Marta in the flashback or the flash forward or whatever it is, in the visualization of the sequence, like interacts with the Harlan who's narrating it. Like
Hmm.
when she's standing at the bottom of the trellis and she goes, "You got to be kidding me," and then you hear his voice saying, "I am not." Like it's so wonderfully layered. And then uh before the carved elephant, after the carved elephant, be after for the carved elephant, like it's
I I'll be
dialogue
honest
is
that
just
the
flawless.
I yeah, I mean the scene that always gets me is when he actually cuts his throat when she walks in and he's like, Harlan? And he's like, just do everything I ask. See ya. It's like Jesus Christ. Dude is kind of crazy. Um,
You have to be,
you gotta be to birth
especially
a
not
family like that.
not only for being a murder mystery writer, but exactly with a family like that.
Also,
Yeah.
that being your first instinct after getting poisoned,
As,
like
as he says, Ransom is the most like him. So you get the sense. I mean, Ransom concocts a pretty genius plan. He's like conniving in that way. He just
He's
has.
got everything
You
lined
get the
up.
sense that a lot of people are worse off for having been given that like endless stream of money where they don't really have to do anything. And then when you cut them off at that age, it's like nobody knows what the hell to do. Turns you into a fight or flight. And Ransom took that to a whole new extreme because, as he says, he doesn't view life with consequences.
Yeah.
mhm.
But I think everything works together in this movie really well. Glass Onion, everything can be like discarded. Some things are just throwaway gags. Knives on Knives Onion. Knives Out. It's really you can tell Rian Johnson spent a lot of time making sure this story worked in a lot of different ways. And if you haven't, one of my favorites from his is still Brick. It's one of his first movies. Great mystery. It's just takes place in a high school, but it's like a noir movie, but takes place in high school. Mystery is fun. I love the way that he films it. I think I can't remember its debut, but it's one of his first. It's very, very well done. It's where Joseph Gordon-Levitt got famous, I think, one of his first roles.
Cool.
Really young star in that.
Pre-Looper.
Yes, very pre. This is like 2005.
I mean, Joseph Gordon-Levitt was doing like Angels in the Outfield in the 90s.
Yeah, but that doesn't count. He was a kid actor.
Was child actor then.
E-
Yeah.
Everybody knows that child actors need to actually break through as an adult actor. Nobody gets a free pass.
Max, how about you? Favorite scene?
Ben mentioned it. It's the one where Harley kills himself because it's so shocking. And like I remember when I watched this movie for the first time, like it's like what
Yeah, so calm.
happens? Ben, you're right. He is so calm about it. He's like, all right, cool. Do what I say. Dead.
I love that he doesn't even like. You would think, and this is where he's like a ransom, and you can kind of see where it comes from. This man literally kills himself rather than realize, wait a minute, I feel kind of normal. I've had no morphine, have I? It's like when your heart should be shutting down. You should be dead at that point, also, right?
You should have at least
He comes in.
collapsed.
Yeah, it's
Like
like,
he
There
took
should
like
be
five.
symptoms, visible symptoms.
He took like
but he's just
five
like,
of
no, I
his
got to
10
do
minutes to
this.
explain this plan.
He's committed to the plan that he concocted, and he just does it, just like Ransom, and in ways they parallel each other, in different ways. But yeah, I think this movie is much better. Not to knock Glass Onion, it's still a fine movie, but Knives Onion, God damn it,
It's
Knives
two.
Out is
It's
actually
two.
look, it is what it is.
Hey, we all
Good
misspeak.
movie,
It's fine.
good movie. You get my point.
Yeah. If I may share my favorite scene, it's the monologue. It's everything about who Blanc and Ransom are as characters at the end of the film when he's unraveling the web, finding the donut hole at the center of the donut.
Yeah, that's always going to be a good one. Though I do think he may have gone for too many donuts in that scenario. He mentioned donuts at least 10 times.
Its own donut with its own hole.
Well, he was like, now we thought this was a donut, but it was actually a donut with a hole inside the hole. And then we peel it out and we realize that donut doesn't actually have a hole. It's
I
just
like that
going
you're
on.
you're putting on the accent. That's fun.
I
Um,
wish I could remember what he said, but it's like, what the hell did you just say? Again, it's great. It's ridiculous. It's supposed to be ridiculous. He may have used donut too many times though, but that's
they
okay.
did. We'll look past that
We'll
because
we'll
every
allow it.
bit of every bit of dialogue there, and this is like what I'm having so much trouble with writing my own murder mystery, is having all of the pieces there to put together. And maybe I should have written the ending first instead of writing the
Well,
first 100 pages and now getting to the actual
if you're
reveal.
writing a murder mystery, I'm going to tell you a very easy way to fix that. You don't write it first. You write the murder, how they did it, what happened. Then you write the story about that.
Smart. I'm gonna start from scratch.
You
So
can also write multiple ones at once if you get stuck in one. That's what I've seen a lot of mystery writers say to do.
hmm,
And then you could find out like, oh yeah, this would work for this novel. You're thinking of different ways, but you always got to be thinking about a different mystery. Think about the weave, the thread, as Benoit says.
yeah, just getting back to that scene, everything about the way that Blanc has portrayed himself in the movie to this point, where he is, a passive, respectful observer of the truth, as he calls himself. He's strolling leisurely to the terminus of gravity's rainbow, where the truth
Hmm.
falls at his feet. I love this dialogue. This is one of the best scripted movies I've ever seen. The the sort of gravitas he pulls in this scene where he's revealing how Ransom did everything is just so perfect in delivery from Daniel Craig, scripting from Rian Johnson, presentation. The way this is shot and set up is fucking flawless. I mean it stands out so much to me because of how in what I would call a perfect movie, it is the most perfect scene because of the catharsis in the narrative of yes, we finally got our killer and we're going to show you how we did it, but also Blanc being so much himself. Like you can tell how much this character is in his element when he's spinning and unraveling and getting to the core of this story. And just the way everything comes together in that moment, it is this
Yeah.
movie.
Again, I will give. I mean, he takes a lot from Poirot. I mean, that is kind of how Poirot used to solve mysteries. He'd like lay back and then slowly, interview people, slowly figure out everything, but he would just sort of observe, which is a lot how Daniel Craig approaches the character. He's like hitting the piano note, just like, oh yeah, sorry, I'm here. Didn't mean to disturb you. Um, but yeah, no, I think Daniel Craig does a really good job. Um,
You need someone who can carry a movie as your detective.
well,
Like
certainly.
like I saw and I really enjoyed, I don't know if you guys have
Well,
seen
what would a noir be if the private eye was a shitty actor or shitty, character? It would
exactly.
be a shitty noir.
I don't know if you guys have seen See How They Run from a couple years ago. Sam
Oh yeah,
Rockwell and Saoirse
Sam
Ronan.
Rockwell.
It's a decent mystery. I enjoy it. I enjoy the film, but I don't like Sam Rockwell has had so many brilliant performances. He's one of my favorite actors. He doesn't carry that film as our main detective as, say, a Daniel Craig in Knives Out and Glass Onion does.
Well, to be fair, if you give him that movie, probably couldn't either.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a difference between having a good like performance and actually having the material to make it a good movie. Because you can only carry so much. I mean, the movie will fail if the main detective is not good. But the main detective being good cannot carry a movie always. There's lots of examples of that, especially a lot of noir examples. It's like
So
Jack Nicholson did not make Chinatown. He was very good in it and essential to it, but the sequel, not as good, not nearly as good.
I've only seen Chinatown. I haven't seen the sequel.
It's okay, you don't need to see the two Jakes. It's one to put on if it's like, I like Jack Nicholson. I've seen all these movies. This is on. Okay, sure, I'll watch it.
Noted. So before we wrap up, I want to talk about Wake Up Dead Man.
No, we don't need to talk
I
about.
want to because we haven't on the pod yet, and it's driving me bananas with all of these
It's
cast
okay.
announcements.
It's
Fine, then
got a
just
good cast.
fine, Ben, then let me talk about it for a second. This is my
All
episode.
right.
I won the game.
All right.
Kaylee Spaney, Josh Brolin, Josh O'Connor, Andrew Scott, Jeremy Renner, Mila Kunis, Glenn Close, Kerry Washington, Thomas Hayden Church, and Daryl McCormick all joining Daniel Craig in Wake Up Dead Man. And there's probably more cast announcements to come, but I, it's just absurd getting to do literally like a fantasy draft of, hey, these actors are great and they all want to work with me, so I'm gonna take my pick.
Yeah, but it doesn't work a lot of in fact, a lot of the time. I mean, there are a million cases where you put together an all-star cast. Look at Amsterdam, for Christ's sake. They
I
had
thought we didn't
all the
talk about that one.
stars. Yeah, but it's too relevant. You can get a
Yeah,
lot of good actors. I want to see the juice from Rian Johnson. That's the only thing that matters. I mean, he's a director. He can direct lots of people. And the actors are great, but it doesn't matter to me. The
I
actors
don't
don't
know.
make the movie always. They
Having a
can't
great
always make
ensemble,
the
and
movie.
this is another area where See How They Run struggled, and where uh, Death on the Nile struggled, the Kenneth Branagh adaptation, is that the supporting cast let me down.
Well, I don't think that's the sporting cast's fault always. I think sometimes that's the director and the writer. They
Oh,
should
so you're
take
blaming Agatha Christie?
see how they run.
I mean, The Mousetrap is a central part of that, and also Death on the Nile is another film I mentioned. But I'm just throwing it back at you
Oh,
from earlier.
okay.
But yeah, Knives Out. We've said all that we can. This film is amazing. It has firmly etched itself in the modern canon of the murder mystery. I don't know anyone who has seen it who has not enjoyed it. I think the combination of mystery and comedy in this film is something that really, really works. It sings as a film, which is something that makes it enjoyable for me.
Why didn't we do La La Land then?
Because I'm saving it for the next time I win, when I beat you by 1 point
I'm
for
just,
another Transformers movie.
oh my God, I'm never losing again. I'm gonna,
You ain't won in a while, pal. I think Mulholland Drive was your last win, and that was a year ago.
don't remind me. We need to change the game.
Sure, we'll
Change the game.
brainstorm.
Axe throwing at each other.
Axe throwing at each. All right, tune in next week when Ben throws an axe through his computer that somehow emerges through my webcam, and then it's just the two of these two for the week after that.
Yeah, I'm actually just gonna show up behind you, but we were
God, that would
saving
be
a horror
awesome.
movie for a little bit. Um, but I think next week I might have to just beat the horror movie.
Cool. We'll make
See
it
you
happen.
soon.
All right, we are going to Netflix next week. We're talking about Hitman with Glenn Powell. Should be a whole heck of a lot of fun. Richard Linklater. I think this is the first movie of his that we've talked about. So looking very much forward to that. In the meantime, you've all seen Knives Out by now. But if you haven't, go see it
And watch Brick. Oh,
and
and
watch
I
Brick.
still don't know what you did last summer. That one too.
And watch Amsterdam and then go back and watch our
Bum.
episode about Amsterdam.
No, don't watch Amsterdam. That one I cannot recommend.
Okay, but we all recommend Knives Out, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yay. I love this movie. Thanks, guys. This was a lot of fun. I like talking
Yeah,
about one of my favorite movies.
I
I see
know
why you
you
guys
do.
like winning funky films. All right, we'll see you for Hitman next week. Bye.
Good night.